Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. And today I'm going to talk about something that I didn't ever think that I would talk about on this channel, and that is that I am in a huge reading slump. When I started BookTube, I was such an avid reader. You know, I don't even know the numbers of books that I was reading before I got on BookTube. I was introduced to Goodreads like the year before that I got on BookTube, and I am a Goodreads fanatic to this day. But, you know, when I first set my goal that year, I think I set it at something like 30 books, and I passed that. And then the next year it was like 62, and then I don't know. So anyway, but I think looking back, I was probably reading somewhere around, when I wasn't really counting it, like 100 books a year. I mean, I just was reading constantly. I always had a book with me. I was always reading. I was always listening to an audiobook. I would listen to like 1 or 2 audiobooks a week and then read 1 or 2 books a week. So, you know, what is that? 4 times, you know, 200, 150, 200 books a year. I read so much. I love to read. And, you know, I think that this is going to sound silly, but with the onset of like Netflix and streaming television and YouTube and me watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, my go-to is always something cyber, something technology, you know, whether it's a Netflix show, like currently I'm watching a Twin Peaks, the reunion or the reboot or whatever, because I was a diehard David Lynch and Twin Peaks fan back in the day. So I always go to that instead of just picking up a book. Well, the last 3 months, I have really struggled, you guys, in actually just sitting down and reading. And it's not about having so much to do that I don't have time. I actually have more time now than I've ever had before. And so I have no excuse not to read. But I sit down and, you know, I pull out a book. I was talking about this on my vlog last night. I pull out a book and I start reading it and I get like 3 to 5 pages into it. I'm like, I am not interested in reading this book. So I go get another book and I'm like, I'm not interested in reading this book. And then finally, I just kind of push the books aside and I pull up my phone and I start looking through the phone and I watch a YouTube video or, you know, I'm not reading the way that I used to read, and it's frustrating to me. And what's frustrating to me about that is that reading is something that has always been an escape for me and something that I love. And I'm not one of those people that gets upset by numbers. I mean, I joked last year that I didn't hit my number that I wanted to hit, and this year I know I won't hit it. And that's okay on Goodreads, like, you know, your challenge that you set. And that's okay. I don't really care about that. I mean, really, if I read 1 or 2 books a year, I mean, like, I might say to myself, God, you only read 2 books this year, but it's not like I'm going to beat myself up for that, if that makes sense. But when I started BookTube, I would see a lot of videos about people saying that they were in reading slumps, and I really never understood it. I was like, how are you in a reading slump? Like, I don't even know that I believe in reading slumps, right? Until I found myself in one recently. And, you know, I recently started this, Boo Radley is wanting, my dog Boo Radley is wanting to be up in this video because he's not feeling so well today, are you, bud? He said, no, I've been eating grass outside. So I started this book club a couple months ago, and I've even been struggling, like, reading the books from the book club on there. And, you know, right now, currently, I have literally, like, 10 books on my counter that I have started and I'm not anywhere into. I have a Kindle book that I'm halfway through, and I have an audiobook that I'm halfway through, and none of them do I want to read. And it's not because they're not good, because a lot of them are very, very good. It's just I have such a hard time, like, it's not even with focusing when I sit down. It's just I'm finding myself not having a desire to read right now. And so I don't really know how to get out of it. Last summer, I kind of went through a similar thing, but I didn't call it a reading slump. I just was bored of the books that I was reading. So I sat down and I had like 6 books, if you guys remember this, on my Goodreads that I was currently reading. And BookTubeathon was getting ready to come up. So I sat down and I forced myself to finish reading all 6 books before BookTubeathon started. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to force myself to read. But I was talking to my friend Tanya about this the other night because Tanya reads just voraciously. She reads like I do, or I did. And I said, you know, do you ever go through reading slumps? And she said, I go through them all the time. And I said, well, when do you go through them? And she said, I usually go through them after I've finished a really good book. And then, like, I can't get into another book because it just doesn't strike me the same way. I'm, like, wanting to read something of that level, and I just can't. And I almost kind of think that's it, you know? When I was reading a lot of books that were, let's say, 4 out of 5s on my, like, a Goodreads scale, like, I would just read a 4, a 4, a 4, a 4, a 4. And I was okay with that. But in the last 6 months, I've read a lot of 5s. I've read a lot of books that are fantastic. And so to follow up on that and to read something, you know, that is just kind of, like, I start something, I'm like, I'm just not really into this. Like, this isn't as good as, you know, these other things. And I'm like with this audiobook right now that I'm listening to, I think if I listen to it faster, because I've now been listening to it for like 2 weeks, like 20 minutes a day, I just can't get into it. And so I just needed to get on here and own my truth. I honestly think kind of that me just getting on video, because it's not that I feel bad about it, and it's not that like I'm beating myself up about it. It's that I love reading so much that I don't want to be in a reading slump, you know? Like, I want to get out of it. And I don't know, if you guys could recommend a book to me below that you like literally could, I would love to read like a thriller, okay? Or some kind of chase book or something that you literally cannot put down. Like, that is what I would like, you know? Something that I just can't get enough of, that I just is a page turner. That is what I want to read right now. You know, a couple years ago, I read like Blake Crouch's, what was it called? Dark Matter. That was like a book like that for me. And, you know, I've read a lot of those books through the years that kind of get me out of these moments where I just am stuck. But recently, I don't know what it is. I just can't get out of it. And it's just, it doesn't really matter in the long run, but I don't want to be in one anymore. And if you've been there, you'll know what I'm saying, because I love books, and I want to go, you know, I got on Audible, and I just did a haul, and I bought like 6 books, and then I got in my car to listen to an audiobook, and I was like, I don't really feel, I want to listen to music, you know what I mean? And that's okay. And maybe the lesson is that I just need to accept being in a reading slump until I'm not in one anymore. But my fear is that if I accept that and I just kind of put my books away on my bookshelf, that I won't read anything and I won't challenge myself. You know, and even if I'm reading a book a day, at least that's something, or God, I wish, a book a day. If at least I'm reading a page a day, at least I'm kind of keeping up with it, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I don't know what I need to do to get out of this reading slump. But if you guys have ever been in one, could you give me some suggestions? Because I always watch these videos and people say that they're in reading slumps, but they don't talk about how to get out of it, you know? And I actually think I even did a video a while ago, a year ago or something, called How to Get Out of a Reading Slump. Maybe I need to go back and watch it. But since I never really believed in reading slumps at the time, it probably says something about just pick up this great book and read it, I don't know. Because I have never really gone through this before where I have really no desire to pick up a book, you know, and start reading it. And I have so many great books right now around me that I know that if I read, I'd be like, this is such a fantastic book, but I can't get into it. So I don't know. Do you guys relate to that at all? Are you just like shifted by, you know, movies and TV and things like that at times? And I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm struggling with it. But if you have any suggestions, please leave it in the comment section below. And bear with me if you watch my videos on a regular basis. You know, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I'll come and talk about how I got out of a reading slump. I guess we'll find out. But I'm going to do my best because I miss reading. And I haven't been doing it a whole lot lately. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.